Hello, good morning. This is Mike. I'm going to show you how I am replacing my faucet on my Granted Design Imagine 2600 RB. The kitchen sink faucet was leaking, so you can see it's gone. I'll kind of back you up on what all had to happen before we could get to that point. There is a panel, a shelf right here that is stapled in. All those staples had to be removed. There is obviously this air duct that would come over and screw it against the wall. There's two divider panels here, and I'll show you at the end, that prevents you from easily accessing these connect lines. And I've got them shut off now. So we're going to put it all back together and hopefully along the way you'll get the picture. This is my new faucet from Lippert. It's exactly like the one that was in here, and I'm pretty sure the leak was coming from up here in the valve area. In other words, I could see the water coming out from here, and I could not access it without taking it out. Some people would say, well, just remove this valve, replace it. Sometimes that's easier said than done, so we're replacing the whole thing. I'll put the link in. I think I paid $130 something for have this delivered. So that's where we're headed. Of course, the first part is I'll take this off, unscrew this, slide the faucet in, and then from the underneath I will put that brass ring back on it. And then these are just, once you tighten this brass ring to the counter, that's pretty good, but then these screws are what bind it against the under countertop. They're not going in any holes, they're simply pressure to keep it tight. These are the Lippert instructions that came with it. And there's several faucets that they match up to, but the faucet that I got is this one right here. It matched identically. Can you see that? 179333, the pull down. Anyway, the key thing here is you saw the brass lock and then the washer, and then there's a rubber washer, and it clearly says here, leave the rubber washer on the faucet. So it's going to stay on the high side, and the other two items here, A and B, are going to come up from the bottom. Okay, you can see the faucet is sitting in here now. So I haven't connected it. But a funny story, you see these two PEX lines, hot and cold, that fed into it. I promise you, these were not leaking. These were not the problem. It was definitely coming out of the top side where I said out of the valve. However, after I loosened the connections from the hot and cold from the faucet over here, these suddenly decided they did want to leak. These PEX lines right here. So I ended up cutting off the old connections and putting on new ones. The silver ones here, these are just temporary to cap off the lines, so that right now we've got water in the tank, fresh water, and we're using our pump to give us water until we get back. Obviously, you don't want to be connected to city water when you're doing this, because when these come off, you don't want any pressure of water pressure coming, because you'll flood yourself. But I just thought, how about that? Simply taking these off, all I did was unscrew them. Very simple. Unscrew them, and boy, they just started leaking like a sieve. So anyway, that's fixed. Okay, so this is why this shelf has to come out. There is no way to get here. Others will suggest, well, take the P-trap out, drop the sink, keeping in mind this is an under counter mount sink. Oh, who the heck wants to do that? So taking these staples out, while it was a little pain, and I'll show you, you'll want to use an upholstery staple remover to get these staples out. But once they're out, look, you got everything you need. So now when I come in here, let me have the phone, baby. Okay, when I come in here, the one thing I just learned about putting this in, you can see this new one is in. All right. Well, but what was frustrating me just a little bit is I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get that metal brass tight. Well, it's because these screws were protruded through. They needed to be unscrewed so I could get all the way, get the brass ring, the brass nut tight. And now I've done it by hand. I've done it, and it is tight. So as soon as I hit this with the screwdriver, these two screws, that's going to double tighten it, and it's in. This took 2 minutes to do. Once you get access, and it's all about getting access. Okay, one other thing I'm into here, this weight that helps the sprayer hose kind of drop when you're trying to put it back. Lippert did not include one of those in this new package, so I took this off of my old system, my old spigot, and put it on, and it helps drop some weight. Now, to be fair, the package I got, you could tell I was not the first hands to touch it. You know, when you get a package and it's been taped up 17 times, that somebody has sent it back. But so it may have just gotten omitted when they repacked it. But anyway, you want to keep that, I think. All right, we're testing. Go ahead. You want to test your hot, test your cold. Okay, obviously that's the best pressure we have ever seen out of our spigot. So we had other issues. Down here, where's some light? Let's get some light going. I'll put some light on it, but long story short, neither one of these are all, those metal caps, those silver caps you saw are off, and now I put these on. If you're interested, I can tell you the parts I had to go to Home Depot to buy. These are PEX, 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch valves, I guess, and then the collar and the squeezer, the clamp tool to choke your collar. No leaks here, no leaks from up top where they were definitely leaking before. We've got success, Houston. No runs, no leaks, no errors. Okay, here with a little lesson learned. I'm trying to, there's a screw hole right there, and I'm trying to reattach these plumbing lines to the wall, secure them. And if you drop the screw and you're not paying attention, there's a hole right there. Now, I'm sure I could get there somehow, but I'm not going to try. I'll use another screw. But next time I'll put a rag in here to block that hole. Learn from my mistake. Okay, I'm putting everything back to where it came from. So that screw right there was factory installed to strap up the plumbing. I put that right back. This little panel right here, this panel has 2 screws into the floor. That is all that's keeping that there. Unscrew those 2 things and this whole panel lifts right out. Over here we have the duct line coming back. It had 1 screw here just strapped to that back rail shelf support, and then of course I'll connect it and put the vent cover back on here in a minute. I just wanted you to see everything's going back exactly where it came from. Here's some of the final stages. I showed you earlier 2 screws for that bottom barrier. Up top, there's that one screw holds this, and you can see the plumbing lines go over at the top. That's why this has got to come out, or you can't get to the disconnects. Also, right here in this corner, on the other side here, I took out this drawer with my staple gun and stapled right here in this corner this side panel to this lower rail that's holding this. This is the ugly child here. This is where you have to pull out all of these little brads. And again, I can get a picture of it, but it's a forked upholstery staple removing tool, just like a screwdriver handle. And I pulled all those out. I bet, look at them. I bet they put 2 dozen of those things in here to hold down something that weighs less than 1/4 of a pound, probably the whole thing. But they're there. So I had to pull them all out. And of course, when you pull them out of this whatever this board is, melamine or, you know, laminate stuff, it tears it up. I mean, it's just be fair, it tears it up. So I came back the best I could and sanded down the mess, and then with ebony stain, stained it to at least hide as much as I could the white wood discoloration. And now I'm about to staple it back in, and I'm going to be happy. You know, hey, the sink doesn't leak anymore, so that doesn't need to hang right there. It goes right there, and that was the objective. So hopefully this helps. I'll show you. And oh, and by the way, yeah, that's the duct is reconnected. It's really simple. 2 screws that pops out. So all I use, a little air compressor, a little staple gun. These are little, maybe half-inch staples, but I only put 2 on each side. You can see staple, 2 on each side. That is plenty to hold this thing down, especially if I ever have to do this job over again. I'm not pulling out 75 staples, which is critical to the whole process. There you have it. Fellow DIYers, just in closing, thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful. This is my very first DIY video, so be kind. I'm sure there's technical video, audio, graphic improvements I could have made to it, but hopefully it was beneficial. Thank you. Have a great day.